Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Gaming with me, Tony Mo, and we're here today to talk about Grand Theft Auto 5, specifically GTA Online. Now recently, Heists finally came to Grand Theft Auto, and that's really exciting, and it turns out they're actually really amazing, and that's even more exciting. So I want to talk a little bit about Heists, but I also want to talk about some of the other updates that have happened with GTA Online, and just how I think the whole experience is really starting to come together. I mean, it's only taken a year, but things are really starting to shape up, and I feel like Grand Theft Auto Online could be a platform that could last well into the future. Like, it could be that online that Rockstar teased so heavily at the beginning of GTA 5's life cycle, and at the end of the day, it really didn't deliver. But now it does feel like it's finally starting to come together, and that if Rockstar continues to support this, I could see myself playing this well into the future. It really just depends on what sort of content and how much time they want to take to make this content, and of course the quality of the content when and if it does come to GTA. But let's of course talk about the most recent update. Let's talk about the heist. The footage you're seeing here is from the Xbox One version of the game, and this is just the setup mission, one of the setup missions, one of 4 setup missions actually, for the second heist, the very first heist that you actually can play with 4 players. We were tasked to go to Mackenzie Airfield and steal an airplane that would then be used in the finale of the heist. Cool thing about this, as the heist leader, I'm able to control whether or not my fellow teammates can actually wear their own gear, or whether I can force them to wear certain outfits. I can even force them to wear certain masks. I've chosen to just change the outfits that everybody was wearing and let them wear whatever masks they were happy with. We all decided to basically go with the Monster Mash masks. There's a ton of new masks introduced to the game that definitely add to the experience. When you talk about robbing banks or heisting anything or stealing any sort of vehicle, you can't help but think about wearing really ridiculous or goofy masks. Perhaps a paper bag on your head, or a cartoon face of someone smoking a cigar and wearing a purple hat. Just all sorts of goodies like that. They're a nice little addition, and they add to the atmosphere of the experience. Now in this mission, one player had to be the pilot, the one who was going to go ahead and fly the plane out of the airfield and get the hell out of there. I volunteered to do that as someone who's probably one of the best flyers in the game, and my other 3 friends said they'd sit back, you know, they'll be the firepower. My brother had his nice armored sort of Mercedes SUV over there, and he was going to use that to make sure that the runway was completely clear, as you'll see later on. Now this is one complete clean run through of this mission, however it is about our 4th attempt, as you're not seeing. We did fail this about 3 or 4 times, I can't actually remember exactly. The setup missions are very difficult, they're not simple, but I have to say they're the most interesting combat missions and combat moments that I've seen in GTA Online so far. Admittedly, a lot of the early missions that you see in Grand Theft Auto Online, the ones that exist before the heist update, you know, sort of just the free form, they call you pop up the jobs, you go ahead and do the job with a group of friends. They weren't really well designed in my opinion. They didn't make proper use of the geography of Los Santos and the different locations, and you often felt like you were just sort of, you know, in these tiny little firefights that would either be excessively frustrating or excessively simple and didn't really feel rewarding at the end of the day. Now that's not the case with all the jobs. Some of them click, some of them work really well, but for the most part I found that a lot of them were just really frustrating. So it's nice to see Heists with these startup missions bringing really exciting and really well designed missions to the game. Also just great location choices. Mackenzie Airfield has really underutilized throughout the entire course of GTA Online. You barely see it pop up as a location for a lot of the jobs, so it was nice to see us actually have to go there, engage in a firefight, and then take an airplane from the airfield. It felt good, it felt well designed, and it created some really intense moments. There was a lot of communication going back and forth between the 4 of us, a lot of yelling, a lot of disappointment when one of us died, and one of the things that made it really difficult was, while you do have that 1 extra life, once you lose half of your team, it's game over. You have to have a minimum of 3 people, I believe it was. Actually, it might have been all 4 of us, I think, actually. Now that I think about it, yeah, it was 4 people in total have to stay alive to complete this mission. And that is usually the case for almost all of the missions that I've played so far. We haven't made it through all the heists. We completed the first heist, the second heist, and we haven't really finished the 3rd setup. And of course there's still the 4th and the 5th, but in all of the cases that I've experienced, it is required that all 4 players stay alive. So you have that 1 reserve life. After that, if anyone dies, game over, go ahead, get to the last checkpoint. Now that is one of the nice things about the heist is there are checkpoints. You're not required to, drive all the way across the map twice. Basically, once you reach that initial location before you're about to engage, for example, here at the airfield, you saw us parked, just a couple streets away. We did initially have to drive all the way there, but that set the checkpoint. When we died, we were able to restart all over again. And eventually, on our third or fourth try, as I said, we were able to complete the mission. Now, there's a lot of variety in these setup missions as well as in the heist as a whole. The first heist that you pull off is just a two-man heist, sort of introducing you to how things work, how setups work, distributing money to your crewmates at the end of the heist, setup costs, masks, and all those other different elements. That's a very simple bank robbery. Two-person job, nice and quick and simple. Moving to the second one, you actually have to go and basically pull this really terrible Russian out of prison. And this was one of the setup missions for it. There's a lot of diversity in the heist. They're not just about robbing banks. They're about, breaking people out of prison, infiltrating locations using stealth. And that's awesome, because to me it was like, is this just actually going to be a string of robberies? Just banks, one bank after another. And I'm glad to see that's not the case. They've taken it a lot further. And Rockstar's obviously spent that entire year designing these heists and made it well worth our wait. Now, one of the other things I want to talk about regarding the update to Heists was the introduction of new missions to GTA Online, one of which you're going to be seeing here. It's not just about the heist. They've also added a ton of new missions that you'll be able to get from receiving calls, just like you always have, from people like, Ron at TP, Simeon, even Gerard and some of the other guys. They all have new missions for you, and all of the missions that I've played so far have just felt exceptionally well crafted. They don't feel like the same sort of boring humdrum from, the previous missions that were available at launch, the vanilla GTA Online experience. They use better locations on the map. They just feel more extensive and overall better designed. I really don't know other way to say it, I mean, when you take some of the early missions, they were very simple. Go to a target A, eliminate all of the targets there, steal said vehicle, return back to home base. And that was really it. Nothing would really engage you along the way. There wasn't a lot of elongated action segments broken up with different situations. Whereas a lot of these new missions have some really extensive situations going on. It's like, okay, go to target A now, engage this group of targets, steal vehicle. Now you need to go back past target B. There's going to be another group of guys that are going to ransack you. Basically, make sure you eliminate them on your way to target C. Once you're to target C, go ahead and use this to dispatch all of these guys. There's just a lot more depth to each of the new missions. It makes them more fun to replay. It makes them more fun to try and perfect with your friends, retrying them over and over again. And as a whole, it just kind of ups the ante and the appeal for GTA Online. Now, to me, this is just scratching the surface. If Rockstar can continue to deliver great updates and provide us with new experiences like they've done with Heists, I really think GTA Online can turn into something extremely special in the same way that they promised us it would when they first announced it. Like I said, it obviously didn't deliver. Vanilla GTA Online is fun, but it got really dull after a while. A lot of changes have been made to the game up until the point of Heist, and now Heist is sort of the really big one. It is that expansion that has altered the way that we play GTA Online, and I hope we can continue to see Rockstar support the game moving into the next year, moving into the end of this year, moving into next year with more content, more updates, and just more ways for us to play, because at the end of the day, that's all we want. So we will see what the future holds for GTA Online. I hope that Rockstar sees the success of Heists. A lot of people are really enjoying it. It's brought me back to GTA Online. I play it on a weekly basis now with my brother and my group of close friends, and I just can't wait to see more. So let me know your thoughts. If you're playing Heist, if you've been playing GTA Online, let me know what you think of them. Do you love them? Do you hate them? Do you think that they are sort of the next great thing to come GTA Online? And what are your thoughts on the future of GTA Online? Do you think it really could be something a little bit more? I mean, not only do we have, this update that just dropped on consoles, we also have the PC version of GTA 5 launching this April. So everyone's going to have their hands on it. And to me, this is the time for Rockstar to show full support for GTA Online. And, just let us know what the next great thing is going to be. What is there after Heists? What else are you going to give to the players to keep us playing? And that is really it. I have nothing else to say about Heists. Cannot recommend it enough. If you own Grand Theft Auto 5, you've been looking for a reason to boot it back up, now is the time. Grab your group of friends, make some friends on the Rockstar Social Club, and do whatever you can to play Heists. It's worth it, trust me. If you have any other questions for me, feel free to leave them in the comment section below, and I will see you in the next one.